And let's make sure this is recording now. Yes, it's recording. It's amazing. Welcome back to a new video. Actually, this is the second video because the first one, I did not insert the SD card inside the camera, and this is take 2. So welcome back to a new video, which is an old video, but it's new because it's been a while since I posted. But yes, this is the second video. So welcome. Yes, karma helped me out, right? Because I haven't posted anything from December. Yes, now I need to go through the pains again, the growing pains to create a new video. So yeah, this out of the side, welcome back to a new video. I do apologize for not posting anything for the past couple of months. I've been busy with some projects that I'm going to share with you later in future videos, but for now what I want to do is continue our website that we left in December, which is the Peter McKinnon website redesign. And basically today what we're gonna do is to translate those designs into mobile. Okay, so with that said, let's jump in Figma and create some nice designs for the mobile version for Peter McKinnon's new website. Okay, so now that we are in Figma, the first thing that we are going to do is to create a new frame. And to do that, we either click F or we just select frame from here, and we're gonna pick the iPhone 13 mini. We're gonna just set it aside here. And we're gonna change the color of the background to black because that's how our design is. We're gonna close this, and now we can start translating everything that is on desktop to mobile. The first thing we're gonna do is to grab the logo, which is here. Let me just put this underneath. So let me just grab the logo here because we want to grab this. This we want to keep on desktop. Probably we can actually shrink it a bit, so I will say around 60 pixels. Yep, that should work. And also another thing that we need to create is a hamburger menu, but how conveniently I have one that's already created here. Yes, it's like someone actually did the video twice and this is the second time he's doing it. It's incredible how the magic of editing works. Okay, so we just created this. In case you don't know how to create a hamburger menu, it's simple. You just select a rectangle, create 3 rectangles like this, select them, and then afterwards create an auto layout, and I will round up the edges of the rectangles, and I just colored these into white. So this is how I created that icon, but yes, we already have it there, so we don't need to recreate it. Now the first thing that I want to do before starting any design is to set up my grid system. I always design with grids, and I highly suggest you'll do the same. So for example, the way it works on the desktop version, in case you haven't seen the previous video, we use a 12 column system for the desktop. For the tablet, you would use an 8 column grid system, and on mobile, you will use a 4 column grid system. And to do that, we're just gonna select this. We're gonna go to our grids, which is layout grid. We're gonna create a new grid. We're gonna select columns. Here, we're gonna input 4. I'm gonna change this to white so we can actually see the grids. The gutter, usually I use either 8 or 16, depending on the design, so feel free to play around with it. So for this project, I will use 8 between columns, and the margin, I always go for 20 pixels just because we don't have a lot of real estate space on the mobile when we create the designs. So the less amount of space you waste on the margins, the better. So I will say that a good rule of thumb is to have like 20 pixels, and then afterwards, if it's not enough, or if you feel that everything is a bit too crammed up, then you can obviously change that to 30, 40 and just go from there. Okay, so now that we have the grid, we're just gonna arrange these two, put them nicely here, and then select both of them and align them just like that, so we have the menu. And pretty much this is it. Now, the way we're gonna design this is exactly how we started with the desktop version, and just convert each section from desktop to mobile. And the way I like to think about this is, imagine that these sections are kind of like magnets. So for example, let's say that this area over here, Peter McKinnon, where we have his name, photographer and filmmaker, lover of coffee and good stories, that will be one block. The second one will be the image. The second one will be the image. So imagine that there are 2 magnets and they're sitting next to each other and they're opposing magnets, right? So there's like, they're fighting to stay together. And as we try to push them next to each other, the force will be so great that the only thing that it can do is to stack. So basically what's going to happen is either you're going to put the text on top and then afterwards the image will slide underneath, or you're going to do the opposite and you're going to have the image on top and the text underneath the image. So that's how you can think or imagine when you're designing for mobile, how to lay out your elements. So in our case, we're gonna just grab the text from here. I'm just gonna copy it and we are going to change its size. Now, because we have already the typography scale in place, we can actually change this to an H5 and everything will work. If you don't know how to create a typography scale, I'll leave a video on how to create that here on top so you can check it out. But for now, we're gonna select an H5. We're gonna put this here. Photographer and filmmaker, this is an H6. We can leave it like this, to be honest. It's not bad. Again, we're gonna change this, but we will need to change this text to a smaller one. So what I'll do is I'll change this to 40 pixels and rearrange everything. Okay. Now we're just gonna put these over here. Make sure they look nice, and then afterwards what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna group them and I am going to drag it underneath, and that's because I want to have the image on top. So I'm just gonna grab the image, shrink it really fast, and I'm gonna change the width to 335. That's because this screen has 375 pixels minus 20 pixels on each side. That gives us a total of 335 pixels. It's amazing what math can do. Okay, so we can just put these here. I'm just messing with you. It's like I know the numbers by heart because I use these specific numbers all the time because they work. It's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't try to fix things that are not broken. Cool, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna stack everything. We can also align these just to make sure that they are properly aligned, because I'm a pixel freak and I love everything to be pixel perfect. Otherwise, I'm not satisfied with what I do. Fun fact. Okay, cool. So let's go to the next section. We're just gonna copy and paste this. We already know that the H1 translated to mobile is an H5. So we're gonna just grab this. We're gonna put this to H5. Again, change this to 335 and grab the text as well. I'm gonna grab the text, shrink it a bit, put it underneath. Okay. And we are good. Let me see what's the distance, 20 pixels. I like that. We should keep that as a reference point. So 20 pixels between the title and the actual text. Once we did that, now here's the thing where, you know, the metaphor that I gave before with the two blocks, here we're not gonna apply the same thing. And that's because we have this call to action here. Okay, so now we're gonna break that rule because we want to have this kind of call to action underneath the preset presentation. And that's fine, you can always break the rules as long as the developer can actually code this. Okay, cool. So now that we did that, so now that we clarified that, let me ungroup this. I will ungroup it really fast and I'm gonna grab everything, and I know this will be cringy for some, but I'm just gonna simply just copy and paste this here, and I'm just gonna squeeze it in, okay, till it fits. And then I'm gonna do all the necessary adjustments. Oops, I just saw that. You see, this is why it's good to use grids, then you see what you messed up before. Okay. So after doing this, I'm going to change the text to around 20 pixels. I'm gonna actually increase the size of these. I'm gonna align this to the left side. Okay. Cool. 16 pixels. Give me 20 and 20 here. 20 here. Told you I'm a pixel freak. And here, as you can see, this kind of like button that we created, or this call to action, it's a bit small. Like the rule of thumb for mobile devices is that any kind of like call to action button, slider, whatever it is, needs to be at least 44 pixels in height. And that's because we have, not all of us have, you know, small and delicate fingers. Some of us, including me, have big sausages. And when, you know, we're using the screen, if there's too small, we cannot pinpoint exactly what we want, and it gets pretty frustrating. So to get that out of the way and to help people not be frustrated when they're visiting your website, you should have all the interaction elements at least 44 pixels in height. To do that, this is 17 pixels, so obviously is not enough. We will need to change this to 44 pixels and also increase the logo size inside of it. Or what I can do is basically select both of them, group them, and now add 44 pixels. And voila, this is nice. And let me also align these two so they are perfectly in the center. Cool. Okay. And for these ones, we can actually increase the size a bit. Put this in the center. Cool. And maybe we can shrink these a bit, as they're a bit too large. Readjust it. And this is it. This is ready to go. Wow, now you might say that this is a bit too big and that you cannot see the image and so on, but believe me, it's better to have something that it's okay from an interaction point of view than sacrificing the interaction just to make it look good. If you don't like it and if you think that it's not good, it's better to just like keep it out of the design and not include it into the mobile version if you cannot find a way to make it accessible and make it look good. Okay, so now that we've done that, we will just copy and paste this button. And again, just to double check, if we select the button, you'll see that it has a height of 71 pixels. We can actually put this to 70 pixels and 280 just to round everything up. So this will be okay from an accessibility point of view and we won't have any issues. We can also group this, which is fine. And that's it. That's how we translated the first two sections in from desktop to mobile. Now moving on to the rest of the design, we're just gonna copy the rest of the text. Same thing that we did before. From H3, we're gonna change this to an H5. We're gonna change this, add it here. Make sure it's aligned with our grid. Also the text, make it align it to the left side. I'm just gonna put it here. Oopsie doopsie. Perfect. Also, I would like this to be left aligned. Perfect. Nice. And what we are going to do is we are going to change these three. Now, here we have two options basically. Either we keep the same aspect ratio, which is the square one, so it's 1:1. Or we change the aspect ratio from a 1:1 to a 16:9 aspect ratio, and that will allow us to win a bit of space when it comes to the vertical scrolling. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna copy these and I'm gonna put them here. So let me show you what I meant about that. So if you were to have like a square kind of like aspect ratio like we did before, we will have like a 335 pixels by 335. Okay, so if we want this to be 16:9, then we can actually go online and see 16:9 aspect calculator. Okay, let's see. You can just find a random website and here it is. So for example, for our 335, that will be a height of 188 pixels. So as you can see, if we change the aspect ratio, and this is how it will look. It looks a bit better than the square version on the mobile. We are going to do the exact same thing for all three of our images. 335 by 188. And for the last one, 335 by 188. Cool. So now that we have all the images, we can actually copy the text from here and you can just drag and drop it really easily. Now the way the way we are doing it now, it's not that efficient, but the thing is, I just want to show you how I translate these elements. As you will progress, you'll see that you can actually have constraints that will tell elements how to behave on different screen sizes. We're gonna do a design like that in the future as well. So I'm gonna show you how to prepare components. You can just take one component that you created, put the constraints in, and then afterwards everything will shrink accordingly inside of it. So I'm gonna show you that in a future video. But for now, let's do it this way, the easy way. So we're just gonna grab these, we're gonna put it here, I'm gonna align this to the left, add it underneath this one, cool, and we are going to add this as well. Okay. This is done. We can actually group these, and just to make sure that everything is aligned properly, I'm gonna add to each one an auto layout and just make sure that everything has 10 pixels in between. Okay, and I'm just gonna group all three again, once again, using Command G. And I'm gonna have a 20 pixel distance between the elements because that's what we used here as well. Oh, talking about that, so we used here, talking about that, we need to add an auto layout here of 20 pixels as well, so everything is nice and evenly spaced. Okay, so we created that. The only thing that we need to add here is the call to action, obviously. So instead of shop presets, we're gonna use shop prints. So now we have the call to action as well. And for the final one, same thing as we did previously. I'm just gonna copy the text. Now I'm just gonna copy the image, paste it over here. Let's make sure that, oops. Let's make sure that it's pasted in the correct frame. Okay. And let's see, this we already know, just to have everything as the same aspect ratio. Let's make sure that this has 188 height as well, so that we know that this is a 16:9 aspect ratio as well. Cool. Then afterwards we're gonna copy, because there's no point recreating the call to action. We're just gonna copy the call to action. Put it here, make sure the values add up. So this is 70 and this is 280, just to round everything up. Cool, we're gonna position it here. We can arrange it afterwards. And then the last thing, we need to copy the follow section and just put it underneath here and change the text to 30 pixels, as that is the value that we used on the top section, basically. Okay, we're just gonna auto lay these one out as well, and we're gonna have a distance between them. Yes, you guessed it, 20 pixels, because that's what we decided to do. So now that we did that, we can just drag this here, delete this one because we don't need it. And this is kind of like the final version for our mobile design. Now, what we can do, just to make sure that everything is spaced evenly, we can just group all these sections as we did previously with the desktop version. And just group all the elements, so all the sections. All right, I need here to have the call to action as well, and the YouTube one, and the follow one, which is already grouped. And we can select everything, group everything once again, and then afterwards use auto layout and give around 90 pixels between each section. So now if you look, you'll see that between each section we have a 90 pixel gap. So now we know that everything is evenly spaced out when it comes to these sections. So yeah, pretty much this is it. If we want to see the design, we can just click on it, hit the play button, and then afterwards we can see how our design will look on mobile. So this being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit the like button if you did. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you did, thank you so much and I really appreciate you. And if you have any comments, please leave them down in the comments below. And I will see you in the next video. Take care and I will see you soon.